Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. My name is Councillor Paul Ainsley. I'm the chair of Scarborough Community Council. The clerk has let me know we have quorum. I'm now going to call meeting number 17 to order. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I'm getting feedback from. Now I hear crickets.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
No. Can in the boardroom, can they hear me?
No, but that's. Are you on your
Yeah.
iPad or are you on your?
All right. Thank you,
I'm
Julian.
on my laptop. Yeah. Who's online? Can you
Today's
hear me?
meeting is being held by video conference and in person at the Scarborough Civic Center in the council chamber. This meeting is also being live streamed at youtube.com/Toronto City Council live.
Nick, can you hear me? Yeah, Nick.
For the land acknowledgement, I would like to say on behalf of my colleagues and our city staff that although we may be meeting in different locations today,
but I'm not sure if the chamber can hear me.
Councillor,
we can hear you.
Oh, Nick, they can hear me.
Yourself,
They can hear me.
please.
Yeah, Nick.
For the land acknowledgement, I'd like to say on behalf of myself, my colleagues, and Toronto City staff that although we may be meeting in different locations today, Community Council would like to acknowledge the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We would also like to acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty Number 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. I would like to remind everybody, if you are registered to speak at today's meeting, to please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in the order that they appear on our speakers list. The list of speakers can also be viewed online by visiting the Scarborough Community Council page at the city website at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. For members of the committee, just a quick reminder, the clerk has also provided all agenda materials at the same site, toronto.ca/council, and on the clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need any help with your electronic devices. I also want to remind you to please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at scc.toronto.ca to help with any motions, or here to my right. At this point, I'm going to ask if there's any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Seeing none, can I have a motion to confirm the minutes of our last meeting on September 19th, 2024? Moved by Councillor Myers. All in favor? That carries. I'm now going to run through the agenda. So our first item is SC 17.1, 1151 Markham Road to, 17.1, 1151 Markham Road. This is a zoning amendment decision report for approval. We do have speakers for that item. We have 2 registered speakers, so I will hold that one. Our next item is SC 17.2, 1925 Victoria Park Avenue, an official plan and zoning bylaw amendment decision report for approval in Ward 21. We have 1 registered speaker. Next is SC 17.3, 673 Warden Avenue, Class 4 noise area classification, formerly known as MP3 300. This is a decision report for approval. In Councillor Cannibal's ward, Ward 20. Councillor Cannibal.
Sorry, Councillor.
We're on item number 3 in your ward.
Which number are we looking at?
Number 3? 673 Warden Avenue?
Yes. Do I want to hold it? No.
You want to hold it?
No.
Do you want to move the recommendations?
Yeah, I'll move the recommendations, yeah.
All right, Councillor Cannibal for number 3 is moving the recommendations. All in favor? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.4, 2740 Lawrence Avenue East, Part Lot Control Exemption Application, Decision Report for Approval in Ward 21. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move this item and the recommendations that are contained within. And I'd simply like to thank the Director of Planning, the team, as well as the applicant for obviously this particular matter. The development is well on the way. It's the famous David and Mary Thompson School. And I'm really looking forward to this being completed and people moving in and living in the community. So thank you. Thank you to the director.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Thompson moving the recommendations in SC 17.4. All in favor? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.5, 3051 to 3079 Pharmacy Avenue and 10 to 30 Calamint Lane, Part Lot Control Exemption Application. This is a decision report for approval in Ward 22. Councillor Mansis.
Good morning to everyone, and through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to first move the supplementary report.
Okay. Councillor Mansis is moving the supplementary report. All in favor? That carries.
And now I'd like
Item
to
is
move the
amended.
item.
All in favor? That carries. Thank you, Councillor Mansis.
Thank you.
Next item is 17.6, establishment for a permanent memorial in Scarborough honoring Grant Faulkner. I'm going to hold that. That's in my ward. We have 2 registered speakers. Next is SC 17.7, 17 Bellehaven Crescent. This is a fence exemption. I'm going to hold this for speakers. 17.8 in Ward 20, 615 Kennedy Road construction staging area. Councillor Candival.
I'd like to hold it.
Councillor Candival is holding number 8. SC 17.9 Cliffside Drive temporary parking amendment in Ward 20. Councillor Candival.
Happy to move recommendation, staff recommendation.
Okay. Councillor Candival is moving the recommendations in 17.9. All in favor? That carries. SC 17.10, Ward 24, Poplar Road and Coronation Drive, North intersection, an all-way stop control. This is in my ward. I'm going to move the recommendations. All in favor? That carries. SC 17.11, Silvio Avenue and Sadler Drive, Silver Avenue and Dunlop Avenue, and Lamar Court and Zenith Drive, compulsory stop controls in Ward 20. Councillor Candival.
I'm happy to move staff recommendation.
Okay, all in favor of staff recommendations in SC 17.11? That carries. SC 17.12, Meadowvale Road and Rotary Drive, traffic control signals in Ward 25. Deputy Mayor McKelvey.
Thank you. We did have 2 deputants listen, but they spoke last time, so I don't know that they're here. So maybe we could call them out and we can release it if they're not here.
Okay.
The 2 names.
I have 2 registered deputants, Meryl Severin and Pam Allen.
And I think they spoke last time, so that's why they're on the list again. Okay. So with that, I will move staff recommendation and thank those residents for being so very engaged on this matter.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey is moving the recommendations in 17.12. All in favor? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.13 in Ward 25, Morningside Avenue at Finch Avenue East and Staines Road, U-turn prohibition. Deputy Mayor McKelvey.
Thank you. I'll move staff recommendations. Just say thank you to staff for preparing this. Thank you to Councillor Meyer's office. Also flag safety concerns here as well as local residents. So I'll move staff recommendations.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. She's moving the staff recommendations in SC 17.13. All in favor? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.14 in Ward 24, Waldock Street, traffic calming / speed humps. There's a letter from myself. All in favor of the recommendations?
So can I ask quick questions of staff? I'll hold.
Sure.
Actually, I'm going to hold all the walk-ons for quick
You're gonna hold it?
questions with staff.
Okay. SC 17.15, Mossbank Drive, parking amendment, Ward 24. There's also a letter from me on this item.
Hold.
Councillor McKelvey is holding. 17.16 Galloway Road, speed limit increase, Ward 24, letter from myself.
Hold. Mhm.
SC 17.7 Brimorton Drive at Gatineau Hydro Corridor Trail, pedestrian crossover, letter from myself.
Hold.
You can say it with more authority, Councillor McKelvey. I'm
I
thick-skinned.
feel awful. I don't normally hold stuff, but there is a point to this.
Is there a problem in my letter?
Nope.
I thought I got all the typos out of them. SC 17.18 hunting. Let me finish. Now you're being too authoritative. Councillor McKelvey's holding number 18. Number 19.
Hold. This one is fine. This one's fine.
This number
This one's
20 is fine?
Yes, yes. Sorry, I'll let Council Crandall move this one.
All right, number 19, SC 17.19, reopening from SC 14.9, residential demolition application at 676 Birchmount Road in Ward 20, Councillor Candaval's ward.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Candaval is moving the recommendations. All in favor? That carries. I'll scratch out McKelvey. SC 17.20, Shepherd Avenue East, bus service and protected pedestrian crossings in Ward 25. There's a letter from Deputy Mayor McKelvey.
Well, I can't single myself out, so I'll hold. Oh, yeah, we're on an add to the agenda now.
Yeah.
So I'll move it to the agenda and then hold.
Okay, so we're voting to add this to the agenda. All in favor? That carries. Then Councillor McKelvey is holding it. SC 17.121 in Ward 21, McCowan Road traffic calming. Letter from Councillor Thompson. Motion to add it to the agenda. Moved by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? That carries. Item before us. All in favor?
Thank you.
Sorry, we're in the middle of voting.
I'd like to hold the item. Thank you, Councillor Thompson, for reminding me.
SC 17.22 Torrance Road traffic calming in Ward 21. Letter from Councillor Thompson. Moving a motion. Councillor Thompson's moving a motion to add this to the agenda. All in favor? That carries. Anybody? Councillor McKelvey would like to hold it. 17.22. 17.23 in Ward 20, Kingston Road, speed limit reduction. This is a new item of business. Councillor Kennebell, would you like to move it to add it to the agenda?
Yes, please.
Okay. All in favor of adding this item to the agenda, and then we're holding it for speakers. SC 17.24 Cathedral Bluffs and Earl Road, always stop control request. This is in Ward 20. Councillor Candavel, we need you to move a motion to add it to the agenda.
Yes, please. I'd
All
like
in
to move
favor? That carries. Would anybody like to hold this item? Councillor Deputy Mayor McKelvey's holding. Our next item is 17.25 Village Green Square and Kennedy Road traffic signal concerns in Ward 22. We have a letter from Councillor Mantis. Councillor Mantis, would you like to move motion to add this to the agenda?
I will move the motion and Deputy Mayor McKelvey will hold the item.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of adding this to the agenda? Carried. Our next item is SC 17.26 in Ward 20, Kingston Road and Audrey Avenue left turn prohibition. This is a new item of business from Councillor Candavel. There's a letter before us. Councillor, would you like to move the motion to add this to the agenda?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair.
All in favor of adding this to the agenda? All in favor of the item? Councillor McKelvey would like to hold the item. SC 17.27 in Ward 20, Fairfax Ave Crescent, parking amendment. There's a new item of business moved by Councillor Candavel with a letter before us. Councillor Candavel?
Yeah, I'd like to move this item be added to the agenda.
All right, moving this item to the agenda, on favor, that carries. What name? Councillor McKelvey is holding. Sorry, Deputy Mayor McKelvey, my apologies. And I believe that was our last item to add. Okay. We are going back to SC 17.1, 1151 Markham Road, zoning amendment decision report. This is scheduled for 9:30. And we have two registered speakers. The first one is Stephanie Quast from Bosefield Incorporated. Welcome back, Ms. Quast. You have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of Community Council. As the chair said, my name is Stephanie Quast. I'm a planner with Bosefields. We are the planning consultant representing Lash Developments, the owner of the property located at the southeast corner of Markham and Ellesmere Road. So the yellow property here you can see on the map. We are very pleased to be here today and support staff's recommended approval of the proposal, which seeks to redevelop the site with a 44-story mixed-use building. Over the last 2.5 years, we have worked closely with staff to address the comments that have been raised to ensure the following matters. One, that this new building fits in seamlessly with the adjacent approved developments that you can see here on the map. This development provides the much-needed housing that the city needs, including larger-sized units. The site is also providing a land dedication for the future Durham-Scarborough bus rapid transit that is proposed along Ellesmere Road. And importantly, the proposal aligns with the vision set out in the Markham-Ellesmere Revitalization Study, which was incorporated into the city's official plan in 2009. That study's vision has been at the forefront over the last 15 years of developing this southeast quadrant, which began with Lash Developments and their 1 and 2 Meadowglen Place redevelopment further south, closer to Brimorton Drive. Collectively, new public streets, new public parks, and rental replacement units have all been provided in this quadrant of the city, and the proposal before you today is the final piece to this puzzle. In addition to the significant amount of housing provided, the proposal also provides a POPs area along the eastern edge, which will adjoin the adjacent approved POPs and public park to the east. Ground floor retail space has also been provided, which means that the entire Markham Road frontage from Ellesmere Road south to Brimorton Drive will have an active, at-grade retail atmosphere, thereby contributing to an attractive and lively public realm. So thank you to staff and the councillor in his office for your work on this redevelopment proposal over the years. As I mentioned, we support staff's recommended approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Quast. Any questions, Councillor Thompson?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Can you help us to understand the affordable housing aspect that is incorporated in this site? Are there affordable housing aspects to it?
Through you, Mr. Chair. At the present time, there are no proposed affordable units. This quadrant of the city has not been identified as a proposed inclusionary zoning area. So that under the current mechanism that is available to us from the province, the only way to achieve affordable housing that's not within an IZ area would be through an in-kind contribution through Section 37, the community benefit charge. My client, the owner, and city staff have had discussions in this regard, and we have decided that we will continue those discussions. That a portion of that, or that particular topic has been included in the staff report to continue the discussion. And if we are able to find a resolution on that matter, I believe a report would be brought back to council in that regard.
So can you help us in terms of unpacking that for us a little bit? You say finding a resolution. So we have a problem in the city, irrespective of whether or not this is inclusionary zoning or not. I understand that applicants are trying to do their portion in collaboration and so on. just trying to ascertain the sort of, I guess, the objective of your client to meet some of the city's need. Yes, you're going to provide housing, but if they're not affordable based on the need that exists in the city, and you've just expressed that there's an opportunity for discussion and conversation and so on and so forth. So at what point will there be a trigger to create this discussion around affordable housing in this area that is not part of the inclusionary zoning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is for, the reason we're here today is for the zoning approval. The site plan application process will continue. And in fact, as part of our zoning, we are getting a hold due to some civil related matters. So there is time throughout the development review process for further discussions in that regard.
So just for my clarity, you're not saying no, you're saying there's an opportunity for discussion because we've got, whether or not it's CMHC programs or the City of Toronto's program, the mayor's recent announcement, there's an opportunity as part of the site plan process for that to be considered. And that's something that is willful intended to be considered for this site in order to address the challenges that exist in the city.
Through you, Mr. Chair, my client has advised that there is an opportunity to engage in further discussions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Other questions of the deputant? Seeing none. Speakers on the side? Oh, sorry. I have one more deputant. My apologies. Adolfo Amir from ABE Advisors. He's online? Okay. Mr. Amir, I understand you're online. You have 5 minutes to address Scarborough Community Council. At the end of your 5 minutes, each councillor has the opportunity to ask you questions for up to 5 minutes. You can begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the committee. I was only present today to offer support to Stephanie, and if anyone had any questions on a technical matter. So I think Stephanie has summed it up fairly well, and I really have no other further comments to add. I do appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Amir. Any questions of the deputant? Seeing none, we will move on to questions of staff. Questions of staff on this item? Seeing none. Speakers? Seeing none. As this is in my ward, I will move the recommendations on this report. All in favor of the recommendations before us? That carries. Thank you. Our next item is SC 17.2, 1925 Victoria Park Avenue, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application. Decision report for approval in Ward 21. We have one registered speaker, Stephen Mensa from the Toronto Youth Cabinet. Stephen here or not online? Stephen Mensa. Going twice. Stephen Mensa. Seeing none. Deputant's not here, so we're on SC 17.25 in Ward 21. Any questions of staff on this item? Councillor Thompson?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Through you to staff. There's been a number of, I guess, issues raised with respect to this application around timelines and timing. Can you help me to understand the process that has been followed according to the city's policies, please?
Through the chair, this application came in, the initial application was submitted on May the 6th, 2022. The application was deemed complete on June 2022, and it was circulated to different departments for commenting that same day. Comments were provided to the applicant on August the 10th, 2022. The second submission came from the applicant was received on May the 19th, 2023. Comments were provided to the applicant on July 14th, 2023. Second, the third submission came in on June 4th, 2022.
Can I just stop you there for a second?
Yes.
The submission and the comments on August the 10th, 2022, that was the second submission, was that correct?
Correct.
And the response from the applicant came back when?
Let me see.
Would that be July 14, 2023?
Yes,
That would be some 8 months later?
I believe so.
So would that be a City of Toronto staff issue in terms of the lateness or the time that it took to respond back to the second submission? Would that be considered a delay by the city staff?
Through the chair, no.
Okay, thank you for that. Can you help me or someone help me with respect to the affordable housing aspect regarding this application? Is there affordable housing associated with this application?
Through the chair, it is a purpose-built rental application. There has been no outreach to the city for any affordability to be secured through any city programs. There has been, I'll use the term representation, that the applicant was potentially pursuing affordability through other governmental programs at the federal level, but there has been none secured through a city program.
So you're not aware as to whether or not the applicant has actually filed an application with any of the CMHC programs that are in effect, such as the Affordable Housing Fund, New Construction, Affordable Housing Innovation Fund, Apartment Construction Loan Programs, or any of those programs?
Through the chair, I'm not aware of that. And usually when applications are made to those federal programs, applicants seek letters of support from city or elected officials.
So when the applicant makes representation to other agencies or other government representatives indicating that the City of Toronto is actually delaying their application and they feel that timelines have been missed as a result of the City of Toronto's negligence, would you agree that as part of this process that there were anything associated with the remotely considered or associating approximately to negligence as part of the work that the city staff have done?
I would disagree with the word negligence through the chair. The cadence of the application, as the planner went through, was fairly standard. There was longer than average response times, I would suggest, from the applicant to comments provided.
Thank you very much. To water and sewer, can you help me to understand the impact this particular application could have on the community and what efforts have been taken by you and your staff to deal with respect to the potential impact? And what is the obligation of the applicant in terms of responding to your concerns?
Through Mr. Chair. So this, based on the analysis provided by the consultant, this development was creating some issues in the downstream sewers, where we have issues that there potential issue of someone's basement getting flooded. So we have the negotiations with the consultant, and the agreement which they agreed to is that they will be upgrading about 290 meters of sewer on Lawrence Avenue between Eleanor and Lillian.
So not 1,000 meters?
Not 1,000.
200?
200.
Okay, thank you. Those
So
are
they
all my
will be
questions.
upgrading as part of that will be securing as part of the zoning.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thompson. Other questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, Councillor Thompson?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I actually have a motion on this particular item, and maybe just ask staff to put that on the screen, please. And I can read it in the interim. So basically to request the Director of Community Planning Scarborough District to meet with the applicant to clarify their intent either to include affordable housing or not to have affordable housing as a component of this development prior to the next council meeting, which is on November 13th. I move that, Mr. Chair, and I will not be supporting this application. I move that because there has been a lot of chatter from the applicant about our staff and, in fact, belittling the professionalism of our staff, which is very, very, very problematic for me. My office has attempted to reach out to the applicant's representatives, left phone calls, no return calls. Yet they would go to others in the community and suggest that they're developing affordable housing to respond to the city's need. We've learned from staff that they're not aware of any representatives associated with this application at 1925 Victoria Park with an expression of interest in terms of creating anything that relates remotely to affordability. In fact, you know, the director has indicated it's purpose-built rental at the moment. I mean, that could change because they have the ability to do that going forward. I'm very concerned when people are dealing with, an applicant dealing with our staff, and in fact, the timeline suggests that it wasn't our city staff's fault with respect to the delays associated with this application. It's actually the applicant themselves. But the applicant has seen fit to go to the local MPP and others to make representation to suggest that the deadlines that they have missed has been the fault of our city staff. It is very egregious with respect to making those types of comments and representation to suggest that our team is actually not living up to their commitment with respect to providing housing. And so what I'd like to see is a clear intention of the applicant as to what it is that they are proposing to do. Yes, purpose-built rental, but we know that in this area and other areas across the city, there's a need for people to have affordable housing. There's a lot of talk and a lot of bait and switch in terms of commentary. Everyone comes forward and they say, well, we're building affordable housing. For who? And at what cost? The fact of the matter is that there's just a lot of language associated with this, not building as we need to respond to the need that exists in the city. So I will not be supporting this particular application. I have other reasons and concerns regarding this particular site and this application. And in fact, I want to see how the applicant is going to come forward to clarify what is their intent with respect to creating affordability in our area. And so those are my comments, Mr. Chair, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Sorry, just on a chair's point of order.
Sure.
Moving an amendment for this work to be done before council. Are you moving the recommendation?
I'm not.
No, moving the recommendations? Okay. All right, thank you. Other speakers on this item? So this will go to council without recommendations. If we don't.
Unless you want to move it, but I'm just not moving it.
It's up to you. It's your board.
I know, and I'm not moving it. Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Without recommendation, that's fine.
Okay, so we have the motion before us on this item. Any questions to the mover? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion before us? That carries, and that's it. This item will go to council without recommendation. Okay, thank you. Our next item is 17.6. Sorry. Our next item is 17.6, establishing a permanent memorial in Scarborough honoring Grant Faulkner. We have two registered deputants, Brad Faulkner and Stacy Fitzpatrick, who I understand are both online. Okay, Brad Faulkner, you're first. Just to thank you, both of you, for being here this morning virtually. Just wanted to let you know that you have 5 minutes to speak on behalf of your brother's memory, and then any members of the community council can ask you questions for up to 5 minutes if they so choose. Mr. Faulkner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute.
Is he online or? Mr. Faulkner, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Brad Faulkner? Is the microphone not working? All right, maybe we'll go to the next deputant and then we'll see if we come back. Stacey Fitzpatrick?
It won't let us unmute her.
Stacey Fitzpatrick? Yep,
Hello?
Stacey, we can hear you.
Oh,
You have 5 minutes
okay.
whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, good morning to everyone there. I'd like to say on behalf of Chris Faulkner, Brad Faulkner, and myself, as brothers and sisters of Grant, and all his family, that we thank you very much for doing this memorial for Grant. It was a tragic situation, and we sure hope that this doesn't happen to anyone else. But basically, it was horrible for us. And he was a good person, and we are thankful that you're doing this. That's all we have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this morning. It's very much appreciated. Any questions of the speakers? Seeing none. Questions of staff? Sorry, can we, Stacey, is your
It was
brother Brad
horrible for
available
us.
or?
And he was a good person.
She said she was speaking about it.
Yeah, I think he's going to speak. I don't think he gets.
All good? Yeah, she did say she was speaking on behalf, so that's okay. Okay. Any speakers on this item?
Anymore because it's.
Seeing none. So I'm moving the recommendations before us this morning. I'd ask for your support for my motion to establish the Grant Faulkner Park. This is a memorial project I've been working on with city staff since my initial recommendation, which was put forward and passed in 2022. Like many of us, Mr. Faulkner was a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. I would like to recognize Grant Faulkner, Grant's brother, and his sister Stacy, who just spoke, who are with us virtually this morning, to witness this very meaningful decision. Their support has been invaluable in establishing a permanent memorial to honor their brother. During the hardships of homelessness, Mr. Faulkner still brought laughter to St. Timothy's Anglican Church, where he tried to support himself by accessing community programs and services, always bringing jokes and smiles to those around him. Mr. Faulkner's story is a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by many Torontonians. Tragically, he passed away in a fire inside a plywood shelter that he built near McCowan and Shepherd Avenue East in September of 2015. Honoring Grant, his memory will serve as a tangible reminder of the challenges faced by many in our community and the need for continued efforts to address homelessness and economic disparity. By remembering Grant, we honor his life and reinforce our commitment to creating a more inclusive and equitable city for everyone. The Grant Faulkner Park will be located at 320 Markham Road in the Scarborough-Guildwood neighborhood. It's nestled in a residential community scheduled to open as our park in that area in the spring of 2026. City staff have ensured that the naming met all of the criteria of the Cities of Toronto property naming policy, and it's aligned with our guiding principles for commemoration. So I would like to thank everybody's support for this. And once again, thank you to Brad and Stacy and all of their family. And I'll make sure they're invited to the ribbon cutting when we unveil the sign in honor of their brother. So at this point, I'll ask for everybody's, can I have a recorded vote?
All those in favor of adopting the item before you, Councillor Thompson, Councillor McKelvey, Councillor Myers, Councillor Ainsley, Councillor Candeval, Councillor Mantis. That item carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody's support. Our next item, sorry, and that passes. Our next item is 17.7, 17 Bellehaven Crescent. This is a fence exemption in Ward 20. I have two registered speakers. The first one is Nancy Inberg. The second one is Khalid Karim from Bleecker and Company. Nancy Inberg, is Ms. Inberg here? Oh, my apologies. Sorry. You have 5 minutes to address Community Council, and just in the process, at the end of your 5 minutes, we can each individually ask you questions for up to 5 minutes. After both deputants are heard, then we do what we call bring it back into committee, where we can each ask questions to staff for up to 5 minutes. Then we can speak on it individually for up to 5 minutes, and then vote at the end. So you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes. Maybe.
It's on? Okay, thank you. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I am here to respectfully support the staff report recommending refusal of the fence bylaw exemption requested by, thank you, requested by our neighbors at 17 Bellehaven based on several practical safety-related concerns. As the adjacent neighbors at number 19, we respect the right of our neighbors to install a fence around the perimeter of their property. We understand the added privacy and definition it would provide between our properties. However, when details of the planned fence were shared, we became concerned about the height and structure. We expressed our concerns to the homeowners about the height and that the materials would not comply with city bylaws, and we were told that it was none of our business. At this point, we felt it necessary to reach out to the city for assistance, and this resulted in a visit from a bylaw officer. Picture 1 in your package shows the completed fence next to our property from the street side. The fence for the entire front yard from the garage to the street front and around the front street side exceeds the 1.2 meter front yard fence exemption maximum. At the street front, the oversized pillars and solid metal gates are almost twice the allowable height. The front yard fence is constructed from solid panels on the side yard and from concrete and metal at the front streetscape. And this poses a hazard for seeing oncoming traffic when we enter and exit our driveway. It is particularly problematic when you are trying to back out of the driveway. Picture 2 in the package shows the height more clearly from our property. The front fence facing our driveway is over 6 feet high, and when it meets the front, it extends even higher as the homeowner has raised the grade of the front yard by an additional 6 inches, further increasing the effective height of the fence. And you can see that the side panels are completely solid, which is a complete obstruction to the street when we are trying to exit our driveway. The city, as you know, encourages open design, which is safer and more welcoming. But this fence is solid, a visual instruction to the street, and it is a hazard for us at 19 and would be equally a hazard for the folks at number 15 when exiting their driveway. Picture 3, which is 2 pictures, shows that the bylaw officer issued an order to comply on June the 14th, 2024. The picture taken on June 15th shows that the fence was still under construction, which provided the homeowner ample opportunity to adjust the fence to become compliant. Unfortunately, they chose not to. I would like to mention that this house is a new build. The developer constructed the pillar and the front gates after construction was completed, and they did not form any part of the site plan that was approved by the city. This exemption request, the nature of it creates long-term concerns for us. The homeowner has requested what is essentially an exemption until replacement, which is in essence an indefinite exemption from the bylaw. And why is this indefinite? Because who is to determine what constitutes replacement versus repair? Is one pillar standing or one panel standing a repair, or is that a replacement of the fence because the rest of the fence has been demolished? In essence, they are transferring all of the risks of compliance and safety onto our properties, our adjacent neighbors, and to the community at large. And these are compliance issues that are better addressed here and now. Finally, a word about neighborhood impact. Our neighborhood abuts the Doris McCarthy Trail. It is a busy area with no sidewalks and high volumes of foot, vehicle, and bicycle traffic because people often use it as an alternate route versus Kingston Road. The fence is located near a three-way intersection. Proximity to the intersection, as well as the nature of the fence of itself, make an increased risk for accidents. We see no other examples of a fence of this nature or construction in our neighborhood or in the surrounding neighborhoods. In closing, I agree with the old saying that fences make for good neighbors. However, I would add a caveat, provided they comply with the bylaws. I believe our bylaws are fair and important for both safety and neighborhood cohesion, and that Scarborough Community Council would do right by the community in refusing this exemption request and going along with the recommendation as recommended by municipal licensing and standards. I thank you so much for considering my perspective, and I appreciate the time you've given to hear my concerns.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Zimberg. Does anybody have questions for
Chair?
the deputy?
Chair Ainsley?
Councillor Candeville?
Yeah. Through you, Chair. Thank you, Nancy, and I apologize for not being in person. My little one's a little ill and have to help my other half out. So thank you for delegating and appreciate your very thoughtful correspondence with Scarborough Community Council. Just a few questions. When this was approved, it was clear that this fence was not granted as part of the approval. And then I understand that you raised concerns with the city, with the builder, of course. Can you tell us their response?
The person constructing the fence was initially rather amenable to discussing with us, but it became very evident that they had been instructed by the homeowner not to talk to us any further.
Thank you. And
so communication ceased.
Thank you, Nancy. And I'm also concerned about another experience you allude to in your letter is that you also communicated with our staff in building standards about the construction of this fence, which was clearly in violation of the bylaw and what was approved in the building approvals. Did you not receive a response, or was the response? Please tell me about the response.
There was some communications, emails back and forth with my spouse, and after which we were advised that the order to comply had been issued.
Okay, great. And that was in June 2024?
Correct.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy.
The fence was completed in August.
Thank you, Nancy, for bringing this forward in such a detailed, thoughtful manner. We appreciate these instances where we can hear feedback of how our staff, both at building, in this case building, and bylaw, operate and perform the duties that we delegate to them. So appreciate this civic participation. And I will be supporting the exemption. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor, do you have a question?
No, that was it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of the deputant? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Emberg. Our next deputant is Khalid Kareem from Bleecker and Company.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. You have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good morning, Chair and members of the council. Good morning, Nancy. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the owners of 17 Bell Crescent in support of maintaining the existing gate and pillar assembly. This request for an exemption is rooted both in function and structural needs of the property, where compromising this structure could lead to mechanical failure, creating risk for a passerby. I'd note the pre-existing condition, which Nancy did touch on. The gate assembly and pillars were built by the original developer and were in place before the owner took possession, which was roughly about 2 years ago. The owners being unaware of any height infractions, they've entrusted me to make necessary improvements, which is what Nancy touched on, the knee walls in between and the slatted see-through sections in between the pillars were created to replace the overgrown hedges, which in the homeowner's opinion posed a bit of a safety and fire hazard. These shrubs were overgrown and nearing the low-hanging power lines in the front of their house. Eyesore, and that would definitely block the point of view of anyone looking towards the house. These overgrown shrubs were truly large in size. The exemption here would be for the 6 feet of front yardage. So that would be the 6 feet of fencing, which needs to exceed the 4-foot height as per the bylaw to remain at the 6 feet, which would include the front gate assembly. The functional necessity of the structure is that the pillars support the gate assembly. They're not decorative, but structurally essential. Inside the pillars are welded iron posts that bear the mechanical gate's weight. Additionally, they house critical components such as the power source, the junction boxes, and they're all encapsulated in stone to shield them from the harsh conditions of our winters. The pillars design is 4 vertical slabs that are 3 inches thick, topped with a coping to safeguard the mechanisms, ensuring the gate's reliability and functionality year-round. Without the protective structure, the gate's performance and safety could be compromised, in my personal opinion, and could put the property and the public at risk. Now, Municipality Inspector Edward Maloney did visit the property, reviewed the pillars, performed a comprehensive inspection of all surrounding fence heights. He specifically recommended that we apply for an exemption due to the structure's critical role. His recommendation and guidance is what have led us here today to present our reasoning for preserving the existing structure, which has stood unchanged.
Okay.
And this exemption request was not prompted by any recent modification to the pillars themselves.
So as long as this call isn't going out to
Nancy
OBS.
said, this neighbor,
better not
they've
be.
had a negative experience with the property
paranoid.
grading and the disruptive initial build from the developer. Unfortunately, I feel these feelings have carried over to the current owners, who's new to the neighborhood and sincerely wishes to maintain positive relations while ensuring his family, including his 2 young toddlers, are safe. Regarding community and safety considerations, this assembly was thoughtfully designed. Removing or altering it would require extensive deconstruction involving noise, debris, heavy machinery on a street that's very quaint and very nice. The entire neighborhood, everyone's lovely. And no one wants to impact that. So preserving it as safe and structurally sound entryway that has stood unchanged and in harmony in the neighborhood for over 2 years, in my personal opinion, would be amazing. So in closing, I'm respectfully request that the council grant this exemption, allowing the structure to remain and
Julian,
help maintain the safe, resilient, and aesthetically pleasing entryway.
About bringing you in
the
on the knowledge-based
photos
stuff.
attached,
One
I've
thing that
detailed the
Julian pointed out
assemblies
that you might
inside the
actually have a
pillars.
good
The portion
lens
as per
toward
bylaw, that would be front
like
yard
our
that
web
Nancy's
posting
addressing,
pages
that
that
would
we
need to
have
drop down
already
to
up there.
4 feet. Would be
Julian and I put those up
right
there
off of the gate line, the front
couple of
property
years
line,
ago.
about 6 feet
Right,
off
that
of
was like
that,
one of the
that
first
the
things we put up there.
composite panels should come down to 4 feet.
Yeah, and so the one thing
And
with that,
same
I
thing
think
with
some of
the
those
slatting
pages
in
weren't
between.
100% complete.
I just
And
wanted
to
to
be
note
honest, it
that
is just
on
listed
file.
as line items.
Thank you very much.
So the idea is to, number one, to review the content. But if you're using it every day, I think the content might be okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kareem. Questions of the deputant? No questions of the deputant. Questions of staff?
Chair Ainsley?
Councillor Canaville, questions of staff?
Hello.
Yes, to MLS. Can staff walk us through what transpired following the notice to comply on June 24th that was issued to the landowner?
Through the chair, Councillor, the notice was issued, sent out registered mail to the property owner, and as the previous deputant did state, or notice did reflect comments for the process of today's hearing.
Thank you. And did that was posted and issued, did the applicant comply with the notice to comply notice issued by your staff?
Not to date, through the chair, not to date. Once the hearing is scheduled and we know it's gone for a fence exemption and we've accepted the application, enforcement actions will cease until the outcome of today's hearing.
So
Did the
remain
property owner,
Julian, help
despite the
me
notice to
take-
comply, did they proceed with the construction of the fence despite the notice to comply?
Through the chair, I am unaware of those activities, sir. I can't really answer that question.
Is the fence constructed?
Through the chair, yes, the fence is constructed. I'm currently looking at a picture of the completed project.
So they proceeded with the construction despite the notice to comply?
Through the chair, yes, they would assume so. It appears so, excuse me. It is not uncommon, as you are aware, for these types of situations to occur.
Yes, but they failed to comply despite the notice and proceeded with the construction. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair,
Thank you,
yes,
Chair.
they would
Ainsley.
assume so. It appears so, excuse me. It is not uncommon.
Okay,
as
thank
are
you,
aware,
Councillor
for
Campbell.
these
Other
types of
questions of
situations
staff on
to
this
occur.
item?
Yes, but they
Seeing
failed
none,
to, they failed to
speakers on this
comply
item?
despite chairing
Councillor
the
Campbell?
notice and proceeded with the construction. Thank you, Chair, and through you.
Thank you.
I will not be
Chair.
supporting this exemption and encourage my colleagues to support that. This is an interesting precedent that they're looking to seek in a community that is very communal. We're not the bridle path. This is not the type of built form for our neighborhoods. It doesn't capture the spirit of community. And it's furthermore, it's troubling that the applicant made no effort to engage his or her neighbors, to include the community, to hear voice, to hear concerns. And in fact, it's very troubling and concerning that we have a practice that applicants can proceed to construct despite the municipality, despite us as a city noticing and notifying them an issue to comply. I think that culture needs to be addressed, and here's an opportunity to do so. I don't think we should allow applicants to willingly, publicly flaunt the bylaws, the rules, especially in concern to neighborhoods like this. So it's an important point that I want to underscore, that we should not allow such flagrant violations of our bylaws, especially after a notice to comply has been issued. Thank you, Chair Ainsley.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Campbell. Other speakers on this item? Sorry, Councillor, you're moving the recommendations before us?
Yes, I'd like to move the recommendation that Scarborough Community Council refuse to grant the application for an exemption permit by the owners and to use the existing fence. Sorry, I just want to clarify, to use the existing fence at its current heights. Is that approving the existing fence or the existing bylaw height? Sorry for this.
Through the chair, Councillor, it should be to the bylaw required height of 4 feet, not the current height of almost 7.5 feet.
Exactly. So do we, Chair Ainsley, I'll look to you and Nancy to procedurally, do we amend this, or because the recommendation is refused to grant. Sorry?
The committee clerk's as we speak. Okay, so we're just going to hold this one down until the clerk can clean up the wording, and we will come back to it, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you.
So our next item, our next item is SC 17.12, Meadowvale Road and Rotary Drive traffic control signals. We have 2 registered speakers. Pam Alon, does Merle Severin here? Online? Not online. Then we have Pam Alon. Not online either. Nope. 12. Sorry, did I skip one? I was going to do the ones with deputants first. Yep. So we're on number 12, Meadowvale Road and Rotary Drive. Oh, sorry. My apologies. I didn't scratch that one off. Thank you. So we're on to SC 17.23. Kingston Road speed reduction. I have 2 speakers. Tristan Ridley from Strong Towns, Toronto, and Ella Wind. Do I have Tristan Ridley? Okay, so I have 2 registered speakers on this item, Tristan Ridley and Ella Wood. You each have 5 minutes to make a deputation to Scarborough Community Council. Then we have up to 5 minutes individually to ask you questions, and then we bring it back into committee where we can ask questions of staff. And then we have the ability to speak on it after that. So first we have Tristan Ridley, Strong Towns Toronto, who's online, and you can begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. I live in Cliffside. I drive on this stretch of Kingston Road almost any time I take the car out of the garage. While lowering the speed limit is a positive step forward, all the evidence across the world shows that speed limits and signs are very poor at slowing drivers. Drivers mostly take our speed cues from the design of the road, and effective changes need to respect driver psychology. Kingston Road is naturally straight, and its lanes are too wide. The area around it is too empty and too open. There are no obstacles to judge your speed. It makes you more aware of speed, or to encourage caution. It looks and feels like a road for going 70 or 80 kilometers an hour. And so people do. And they're going to continue to do that even if the speed limit is lowered without other changes. The most dangerous aspect of this road, in my experience, is actually the mostly empty parking lanes outside of rush hour. With the usual very low number of parked cars, it's just enough that most drivers avoid using that lane, and drivers who are in a hurry and ignoring the speed limit, speeding, use that fact to rapidly weave in and out of that right lane. Of course, as these are the outside lanes, that's also put speeding drivers directly next to the sidewalks where they're most dangerous. Again, I do support this motion. It won't hurt, but what we really need is a safer street. The Danforth Kingston Complete Street project that has been planned and promised for years now. And in fact, city staff is proposing bringing down the speed limits along a much longer stretch of Kingston Road and making the necessary physical changes that we know actually reduce driver speeds. City staff promised to come back in fall 2024 for the next round of public meetings about that. This is what's going to make life safer for residents and students along Kingston Road. Me and my neighbors are really frustrated waiting for a public meeting that seems to be getting blocked behind the scenes. So why is Scarborough Community Council entertaining piecemeal and ineffective changes like this motion along a single block when there's already a council-approved project underway, the Danforth Kingston Complete Street Extension? And why has not this comprehensive safety plan for a 6-kilometer stretch of Kingston Road that city staff has spent considerable time and energy developing been brought forward to the public? It's November, and we were promised a public meeting for Danforth Kingston Complete Street in fall 2024. And yeah, again, I support the motion, but it's not effective compared to actual effective change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Ridley. Questions of the deputant?
Chair Ainsley.
Councillor Candeval.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Thank you, Tristan, for delegating and making time. I appreciate this. A question and it is, I admit, small improvement, but helpful. Would you feel photo radar would be a significant improvement to make this stretch safer? I know, given your other points as well, points taken, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on specifically that.
Again, this Strong Towns Toronto, Strong Towns in general, is very much about how to make effective changes to our streets and to our communities. And one of the things that we have a lot of information on is slowing drivers down. So radar enforcement, basically, reliable enforcement is the most effective stopgap, right? If enforcement is consistent, that will lower driver speeds. But the most dangerous situations tend to happen with drivers that aren't paying attention, that don't care. So yeah, radar enforcement along the stretch would make the exact location where the radar is located have very little speeding. But Kingston Road is a long road. I think this is 1 kilometer stretch we're discussing right now. You're not going to have radar along the entire 1 kilometer stretch unless we legalize the Dutch style radar systems where they take a photo of your car at 2 different locations and track your average speed over that distance. Unless you're going to put the radar at each key location, it's not going to make the speeding go away for the entire stretch. Whereas
fair enough.
road design will do that.
Yeah, fair enough. Point taken. And thank you for sharing the Dutch example. Wasn't aware of that. That seems very innovative. And lastly, with you, in respect to your comments about the Danforth Kingston Complete Streets project and the subsequent fall, I don't believe there's anything untoward happening. I would imagine, I'll confirm this with Jacqueline Hayward, is that the provincial legislation that's being introduced is probably what is putting everything in a state of flux right now. But Tristan, my office will get back to you after we confirm with Jacqueline about the status of the fall consultation.
If I could say, actually, most of this project is completely irrelevant to that because the bike lane is coming out of lane widths. So the only
especially on the Kingston stretch, it's more the Danforth portion that would be impacted. But I agree with the Kingston one. It's not.
We're prepared to create data that would show that no traffic would be reduced from that. So,
thank you, Tristan.
Thank you, Councillor Cannavale. Other questions of the deputy on this item? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Ridley. And our next deputant is Ella Wind. Ms. Wind's online. Okay. Ms. Wind, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
I apologize. I have a fussy baby on me. I'm on maternity leave, so I'm like bouncing a baby on.
No need to apologize.
I just want to say I drive on Kingston Road regularly. I go to the grocery store there. I take my daughter to dance lessons there. I patronize the businesses there. I really want to applaud Councillor Candeville for this initiative because I think it's desperately needed. We need to have lower speeding limits on this road because it's a really dangerous road for everyone around it. And there's a lot of cars that drive very recklessly. I've experienced this many times while trying to cross the street while driving myself. But I also just want to point out that I want to echo Tristan's comments that I think it's a little bit of a fool's errand to just lower speed limits without changing anything else. Because we know from a lot of studies in psychology and traffic engineering that how a road is designed shapes how drivers behave on it. So when a road looks like a highway, drivers will treat it like a highway. And what Kingston Road looks like right now is a highway cutting through our community. And it can't really serve its function as a main street that we have because it has these cars driving recklessly on it. So we really need to have more calming measures. Traffic calming measures. I'm sorry, so sorry. She just got really fussy right before the call. So we need to have narrower lanes, well-marked crosswalks, and a lot of that is already being proposed in the Kingston Danforth Complete Street Extension project, proposed by the city. Oh my God. Okay, I'm so sorry. So I just want to ask about what is holding up the second round of public consultations on this project, because in the meetings that I attended, it seemed like it was very well received by my neighbors in the community. I'm a big supporter of this project, and I think that implementing those kind of traffic design changes on the road is going to be more effective than just lowering the speed limit alone.
Okay. Thank you very much. I know that Councillor Cannavale has heard you. I'm sure you'll take it into consideration, just the way it works here. We ask questions of the deputy, not the other way around, but I know you're taking care of a child. Councillor Canavelle, questions or?
Thank you, Ella. I really appreciate you delegating and sharing your comments while juggling a baby, literally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wind. So we'll bring this back into committee. Questions of staff. Deputy Mayor McKelvey.
Thank you. So normally with this sort of problem, we have a speed study. Would you be willing to do a speed study in this area and come back with recommendations, including but not necessarily limited to a speed limit reduction in this area?
Through the chair, yes, Transportation Services staff would be open to undertaking a more fulsome review and study and report back. We would be agreeable.
And there is a high school there. Is there potential to create a community safety zone near the school, and for that could allow for relation to speed cameras?
Through the chair, yes, certain staff would certainly be open to investigating that in more detail.
And could that investigation also include looking at if a Vision Zero safety zone might be installed for the school?
Through the chair, there's not a formal Vision Zero safety zone. We would have a community safety zone, which is a formal bylawed restriction. There are school safety zones, which is not bylawed, but encompasses enhancements to the streets around the school. So we would be open to either of those.
Okay, and then how much time would you need? Could you report back in Q1 or Q2 of next year on this?
Through the chair, I think early Q2 is certainly feasible for staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKelvey. Other questions of staff on this item? Councillor Canavelle, do you have questions of staff?
No. Just comments.
No questions of staff? Okay. I had a couple. I did want to ask about the parking on Kingston Road, just east of Midland. When I travel through this area all the time, I have the same problem as the deputy. And, you know, we have 3 lanes of traffic there, but we allow parking on that section. Is that something that's being looked at and changed in the Danforth Kingston Road project?
Through yourself, Chair, I'm not certain. We did not study this in detail. We were only involved with the preparation of the recommendation. So I believe so, but again, I'm not 100% certain.
Okay. And then I wanted to ask about, so the speed limit, I know that it's come up before, like Kingston Road from Victoria Park out to Highway 2A has multiple different speed zones. And we've looked at changing the speeds before, and I understood through that process that this area was recommended to stay at 60 kilometers due to the streetscape and the lane width and the volume. Is that something we're reviewing, or?
Through the chair, yes, the speed limit, I believe, west of Midland was reduced from 60 to 50. Why this section between Midland and Brimley was not, I do not know. It wasn't part of the Vision Zero reductions, which I believe occurred in 2018, 2019. So staff are not proactively reviewing locations such as this, but if a request is received, as in this case, we would certainly revisit it and if necessary, reduce it further.
Okay, so you're not adverse to me bringing it back, looking at the speed limits along sections of Kingston Road in my ward then?
Through the chair, no, we are not.
All right, thank you very much. That's the end of questions of staff. We're on to speakers. Deputy Mayor McKelvey.
Thank you. I have an alternate motion here. Typically, we do a speed study. It comes back. It actually says what the speeding is there, what proposed approaches should come. And I think it's important that we lean on city staff to to make those recommendations. So this is instead suggesting that we do a speed study on Kingston Road between Midland Avenue and Brimley and report back on options to reduce speeds, including but not limited to narrowing of lanes, speed limit reduction, vision zero approaches, including the potential to create a community safety zone by the school to allow for installation of speed cameras, and report back in Q2 of 2025. And we heard from city staff that early Q2. So Q2 starts, I think, in March. So we can continue to push on that. But I think that, we do have a comprehensive Vision Zero program. I think it's important that we allow our city staff to come back with the recommendations on this area so we can take a more fulsome approach.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Questions of the mover? Seeing none. Other speakers on this item? Councillor Cannavale.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. We were working on this approach with the Toronto Catholic District School Board in regards to St. Theresa's and Cardinal Newman. If this just, this is statements, not questions, staff, but I know staff have been involved and this is direction that we're looking to go through. We're still in the process of a few more meetings with the Toronto Catholic District School Board. So I think this meets the spirit of what we're looking to achieve through our working group with the TCDSB and Green, I forget the organization that we've been working with, but this is in line with what we're looking to achieve. So I'm happy to support this motion. Thank you to Deputy Mayor for bringing this forward. But I don't believe there's any conflict with the work from the Kingston Road project as part of the Danforth Kingston Complete Street project. So, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cannavale. Other speakers on this item? Seeing none, so we do have an amending motion? Correct. Yeah. We're going to move that. So the motion before us by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. All in favor? That carries. There's none opposed. And that item is finished. We are going back to number 8. We could do 8 again. Sorry, number 7. Thank you, Nancy. SC 17.7, 17 Bellehaven Crescent. Fence exemption report, Ward 20. I believe staff have. So Councillor Cannavale is moving the motion before us on the screen to refuse to grant the application for an exemption permit. All in favor? And that carries. Now we're on 8. Yes. That is all of the items with deputants this morning. So we're now going to item number 8, SC 17.8, 615 Kennedy Road construction staging area in Ward 20, held by Councillor Cannavale. Councillor Cannavale, questions of staff?
No.
No questions of staff? Does anybody else have questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, speakers, Councillor Cannavale, you held the item?
Yeah, I'll be moving deferral of this item. There are a number of things that my staff feel are unresolved, and we need to work with staff to have better clarity, communication, and understanding on this item.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Councillor Cannavale. Any questions of the mover? Councillor Cannavale is moving deferral of this item. All in favor? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.14 Waldock Street traffic calming speed humps in Ward 24, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff?
Thank you. This is very specific. It even includes drawings. So I am assuming you were supportive of this recommendation.
Through the chair, we did assist with the preparation of the recommendation and drawing.
And do you have any objections to the speed humps on this road?
Through the chair, no. However, I note we didn't study, so I cannot say if it is technically justified.
Yeah, in terms of warrants, but like it's, okay, so because you didn't do the speed study, we don't know if it meets the warrants, but you don't have a technical objection to the locations, the number, the cost, et cetera.
Through the chair, no technical objection. Sorry, no objections.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, speakers? Deputy Mayor McKelvey, you held the item? Thumbs up. All right. Thank you. So just quickly, so this is a letter from myself. This is Waldock Street is a ward in the south end of my ward, just south of Kings Road in Galloway. It has a school on it, ECU Junior Public School. There's been a lot of, there's been for years shortcutting from the local GO train station, Gilwood GO train station, of people going across Waldock Street. There's a lot of high volume in morning and evening. I've had a lot of complaints, in particular from residents on the ward, on the street, and about the high level of traffic, the volume, the concerns for children attending junior public school. So the reason I put this forward, and there hasn't been a traffic study, almost everybody on the street has requested this. When I explained to them about warrants and benchmarking, they're like, well, we all want this. Why do we have to go through this long process of something that every resident on the street wants? So this is why I put this letter forward before us, and I'm asking for everybody's support. Thank you very much. All in favor of the item before us? And that carries. Sorry, Councillor Canaville?
I just wanted to make a quick comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Just given that the nature of the conversations with all the held items are coming up about this discussion between study and direction. In my ward, as you know, is the southwest portion of Scarborough, which borders the beaches. And many times, I cannot count the times, residents point out just a stone's throw away west of Vic Park, almost every residential street there has speed humps, but we don't on the east side. And this glaring inconsistency, I think, is an important pillar of the discussion of why we have different studies, different approaches. The arguments presented west and then east differ. So I think being expeditious, being judicious, and sensitive to the needs, as Councillor Chair Ainsley pointed out in his community, I think is the sensible way to proceed, because we understand our communities. The folks who live on their streets understand and know their communities. And I think we need to be careful when we waste staff time on studies that take away the opportunity cost. That it takes away staff from studying perhaps more items that require more work and more breadth and depth. So I think this approach is an important one, that as councillors who know our communities, who trust our residents, to be able to put forth the ability to bring in speed humps where we use reason and caution to make these decisions, instead of wasting staff time, and more importantly, seeing an inconsistent approach across the rest of our city. So just wanted to underscore that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Canaville. All in favor of the recommendations before us? That carries. We're now on SC 17.15 Mossbank Drive, parking amendment in Ward 24, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff?
Thank you. Again, very specific recommendation. So I would assume that it's been reviewed by staff and they have no issue. So I'd just like to confirm that.
Through the chair, yes, the recommendation wording was reviewed and prepared by staff and have no objections to the content.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, speakers? So I have a letter here before us. I'm moving this on behalf of residents. This is a result of engaging residents on Mossbank Drive in my ward. A number of different meetings, a lot of complaints about the parking and issues that residents have on this street. So I'm moving this before us and ask for everybody's support. All in favor of the recommendations? That carries. Thank you very much. Our next item is SC 17.16, Galloway Road, speed increase in Ward 24, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff?
Thank you. Similarly, very specific recommendations. Wondering if city staff were involved in the preparation of this recommendation or have no issues with it.
Through the chair, I reached out to my staff and they were not involved in the preparation of the recommendation wording.
Is there any technical objection to this here?
Through the chair, staff did not study this, so we do not have a position on the matter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other questions of staff? Seeing none. Speakers on this item? Deputy Mayor McKelvey held the item? Nope. Okay, other speakers on this item? So just a bit of background. So Galloway Road is at south, this portion of Galloway Road is south of Kingston Road at Galloway and Kingston Road a number of years ago. So Galloway Road runs from north of Lawrence Avenue down to Guildwood Parkway. This area had the speed limit reduced to 30 kilometers by staff a few years ago. Part of the rationale was Maplewood High School, which is on the west side of Galloway Road. On this portion, the speed limit was reduced there. There was a lot of back and forth with the community because students that attend Maplewood Vocational School Story are high needs students. None of the students walk along Galloway Road. They take transit in one form or another out of the school a few years ago. And so south of Galloway Road, south of the CNR tracks at this portion, the speed limit goes up again to 40 kilometers. This portion a few years ago had a speed camera. People got a lot of tickets trying to do 30 kilometers on this wide stretch of Galloway Road. I had a lot of complaints about the inconsistency of the speed limit with this south of Galloway Road. So that's why I have this before us today, asking for the speed limit to be raised back up to the 40 kilometers. Any questions of the mover? Seeing none. So the recommendation before us, all in favor? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.17, Brimorton Drive at Gatineau Hydro Corridor, pedestrian crossover in Ward 24, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff?
Thank you. I mean, I think there's a clear need here for a crossover, given I know you're trying to complete these sections of the Meadowway, but I'm just wondering, again, given that this was walked on by council, what will be the cost of the PXO, just so we're all fully aware of that?
Through the chair, because there was not an accompanying staff report, but the typical line item for a PXO, I think, is approximately $100,000.
And you have nothing at this point to suggest this would be significantly more than the average?
Through the chair, no, there's
Great.
nothing apparent.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions of staff? Seeing none, speakers held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other speakers on this item? So I'm moving this, once again, this is in my ward. So this is in Brimorton Drive at the crossover. It's called the Gatineau Hydro Corridor Trail. It's more commonly known now as the Meadowway. The Toronto Region Conservation Authority has been working on creating the Meadowway and the Gatineau Hydro Corridor. They are expecting a high amount of pedestrian volume through this area. It's much more conducive to pedestrian flow and traffic flow to have a pedestrian crossover at this point. So, which is why the letter is here before us today from myself. And so I'm asking for everybody's support. Questions of the mover? Seeing, sorry, Councillor Cannaval, did I see your hand up?
Sorry, I was voting.
Nope.
Thought we were voting.
No problem. All in favor of the recommendations before us? And that carries. Thank you very much. Our next item is SC 17.18, Huntingwood Drive at Ridgecrest Avenue, pedestrian crossover in Ward 22, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff?
Thank you. There's two recommendations here. The first one is suggesting you investigate the feasibility of installing a PXO, which I have no issues, and I think this is actually the appropriate staff process on that. So thank you, Councillor Mantis. The second is for reduction of speed limits. I'm wondering if staff have any concerns with that, technical objections, and is this consistent with Vision Zero?
Through the chair, based on the road classification, it didn't meet the threshold for 40. It has not been reviewed further by staff. So currently we do not have a position on the matter. But preliminary review suggests that we would not have any high-level objections.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other questions of staff on this item?
Chair Ainsley, can I ask a
Seeing no
question to the
questions.
staff?
Yep,
It's
go
Councillor
right ahead,
Mantis.
Councillor Mantis.
Thank you, Chair Ainsley. To staff, the question is, if we take a little bit of a history approach of Huntingwood Drive, knowing that it starts at Victoria Park, ends at McCowan Road, and both myself and Councillor Myers, even before we were elected as residents, we could say that Huntingwood Drive was always 10 kilometers less than the major street. So let's say Victoria Park was 60 or McCowan Road was 60, Huntingwood Drive was 50. When we changed when we dropped down the speeds to 10 kilometers, all the streets around changed except for Huntingwood, which was still kept at 50. So seeing that, being part of Vision Zero, asking for pedestrian crosswalks and other safety measures to be implemented, and with the good work of also Councillor Deputy Mayor McKelvey's assistance, do you believe that Huntingwood Drive would be able to decrease by 10 kilometers to 40?
Through the chair, Councillor Mantis, I cannot say at this point because, as I said, we have not studied it in detail. But again, I don't have serious objections to this reduction.
Now, to do this, I assume to do this the proper way, instead of asking this afternoon or this morning for a reduction in speed, should we be asking for a report back, even for the speed reduction?
Through the chair, if that is the direction of Scarborough Community Council, then we will comply with that and undertake a more fulsome review.
Councillor Ainsley, I know that this doesn't happen. Can I ask a question to our fellow councillors?
No, that's not really part of the procedures.
Okay. I just wanted to see if also Councillor Myers would have been in agreement or to study this and bring it back to Q2 or Q1 with the pedestrian crosswalk.
Yeah. Councillor Myers? Yep. Yep. Councillor Myers is good.
Okay. Then can we do a motion can we do an amendment, I guess, to the motion asking that also the speed reduction to be brought back at Q1?
Yep. You can move any motion you want.
Okay.
We're fine with that. All right. So we're just going to hold it down so the clerk can take care of it? Or...
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
So we're just going to hold this item down for the clerk to take care of it. Our next item is SC 17.20 Shepherd Avenue East, bus service and protected pedestrian crossing in Ward 25, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Any other questions, staff, on this item? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor McKelvey, you held the item. Would you like to speak?
Thank you. So originally I had wanted to move this as an amendment on the Meadowvale Rotary item where we've lost a bus stop. But it was suggested by the city transportation staff that this be a standalone motion. So I will point out that this area has 2.4 kilometers between crossings. So this is asking city staff to investigate the area and to make recommendations on where protracted crossing should be, because we want to make sure that we keep our TTC bus stops along this segment. So this is a request for a study. I look forward to the results coming back from our very capable city staff that will make undoubtedly good recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Questions of Deputy Mayor McKelvey on this item? Seeing none, all in favor of the recommendations before us, and that carries. Our next item is SC 17.21 McCowan Road, traffic calming in Ward 21, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff?
Thank you. Again, these are very specific. Locations are provided as well as schematics. I'm just wondering if city staff were involved in the preparation of this. And also, I'm not sure if there's a bus through segment. I don't think so. But usually when we have the report back, it does put all implications for others on there and include it. So I'm just wondering city staff's thoughts on this one.
Through the chair, yes, city staff were aware of and assisted in the preparation of the necessary recommendations and drawings.
Is this a TTC route?
Sorry, which through the chair?
McCowan.
No, it is not.
Great. Is there anybody else that should be consulted in the preparation of this that you're aware of?
Through the chair, no, besides the community and the adjacent school. But it's not a necessary part. It's just keeping them in the loop.
If this was brought forward with a report by you, would all of that have been outlined and summarized in there for us to have available?
Through the chair, yes, the staff report would have documented the existing conditions and adjacent land uses.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other questions of staff on this item? Councillor Kandabal?
Thank you, Chair, and through you to staff. I drive through this area quite often. This certainly begets speed humps. I just wanted to understand, to our earlier discussion, if staff were to do a study, how much time would be spent on this? If this was staff initiated?
Through the chair, our standard timeline for a traffic calming request is 9 months. So that's inclusive of staff review, field visits, collection of collision data, speed and volume data, assessing the area, that sort of thing, and preparation of the necessary staff reports.
So 9 months. And is it possible to give a quantitative hour figure of how many staff hours would be spent on a 9-month study?
Through the chair, no, I would not have that further breakdown available.
Mm-hmm. I would assume it's a couple of hours a week for the 9 months. Is that a fair assumption?
Through the chair, possibly less than that. There's some waiting involved after we request the counts. We're not actively working on it, so less than that. But again, I'd be very hesitant to give an exact number.
Would you say it's more than 50 hours in the 9-month period of study of staff, total staff hours?
Through the chair, I suspect it may be less than that, but again, this goes through different units in transportation. Vision Zero Projects assists us with the drawings, and I can't speak to their staff timelines or allocation. So again, I'd be very hesitant to put an exact number on that.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, your responses were very, no, they were helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kandabal. Sorry, Councillor Thompson, I saw your hand. Questions of staff to speak? Okay. So no more questions of staff. We're on to speakers. Deputy Mayor McKelvey held the item. No. Okay. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Can't wait 9 months. We need to take action now. I want to thank the Parent Teachers Council of John McCrae School, the principal, and all those who've come out to discuss this issue, to walk through both Torrance Road and McCowan. The challenge that we actually have is that back in our day, we'd walk to school. In 2024, it seems that everybody drives to school and everybody's in haste and young kids are at risk. The parent-teacher council representatives, as well as the principals and others, have recognized that there's a need for us to act on behalf of the children and the school community and the community as a whole to ensure the safety and conditions that exist in the area now is problematic, and it's unsafe for the children in the school community. We've actually done the walkthrough with city staff to get their input, and the drawings that you have in place and the locations of the humps and so on has been determined not by the community exclusively or by myself, but it's in conjunction with city staff. I suspect that if we were to wait 9 months or longer, or maybe just less than 9 months for a report, the report would essentially contain what we actually have in the recommendations of the item here. It's coming from myself and the community as a whole. I want to thank the community for being very focused and strategic in terms of wanting this issue addressed, this unsafe condition addressed as quickly and as expediently as possible. It will take some time, certainly, for those speed humps and bumps to be put in place. And I hope that it happens sooner as opposed to later. I won't speak on the Torrance Road matter because they're one and the same. West Torrance is to the east, and in between is the school property, school ground, John McCrae School itself. And so we have lots of young schools, children and students coming from the east as well as the west. We have cars coming through from the south into McCowan, and then on Torrance, the cars are coming from the north, south, east, and west. They're coming from everywhere. And if you were ever there at an early point in time in the morning where the children are going to school, teachers are going to school, the parents are dropping the children off, and parents and children are walking or pushing strollers and so on, you get the inherent challenges that are associated with the risk for the students and the risk for the community as a whole. And there is a need for us to act and act now as opposed to waiting, because the conclusions will be the same, that you are going to implement the speed bumps in place where the staff have made a determination that is best suited. We've actually taken a strong look in the community to ensure that we minimize the impact overall to people who are walking and driving and so on, but at the same time, recognizing our top and most important priority are and is the safety of the children and the community as a whole. So I thank the staff who have been involved, and I recognize that the normal process of extended period of time that would be required in order to fully implement what we're doing here today is simply too long, and the student community and the school itself and the community as a whole are not able to wait that length of time. And I'm hoping that we can get this done as judiciously and quickly as possible, and to reduce the potential harm and risk to any of the members of the public or the students' community as a whole. Again, I want to thank the school, thank the Parent Teachers Council, thank those all who've been involved, and members of my office who have worked diligently and well with the community to implement what we are asking for today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Other questions? Sorry, other speakers on this item? Seeing none, so we have the
Councillor
motion
Campbell.
before us and a letter by Councillor Thompson.
Chair Inslee, I put
Councillor
my hand up.
Campbell, you'd like to speak?
Yes. Thank you, Chair.
Go ahead.
I want to thank the councillor for bringing this forward. As I mentioned, this area I drive through quite often. It is very intense. It's very hectic, very busy. Many drivers use this stretch to avoid Danforth Road and Eglinton, and as well as an opportunity to cut to Bellamy to go north. So this is a dangerous area. But I also want to underscore the previous points that waiting 9 months to bring safety, to bring Vision Zero, to address the potential of injuries or fatalities because of speeding or reckless driving is too long. And moreover, great governance and good decision making is always a partnership between elected officials and staff, and especially in areas of this that are pretty straightforward, where community and the councillor know our streets. We need to think how we use staff time. 9 months, 50 hours approximately is not a good use of staff time when we have such burgeoning work happening with development in our ward and the need to pay time attention to construction, staging, etc. As one have staff expertise, and that needs to be guided in partnership with the local councillor. But spending time unnecessarily is something I have concern with on this issue of speed humps and safety. So I'm looking forward to a very smart, proactive partnership between the local councillor, whichever ward, and staff to bring and address these safety concerns, because our neighborhoods, they've had a lot of incidences, and they want to see these approaches in their local street brought in expeditiously. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Campbell. That's the end of the speakers. We have the item before us. All in favor? And that carries. Our next item is SC 17.22 Torrance Road traffic calming in Ward 21, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff? Just to speak. Any other questions of staff? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor McKelvey to speak.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson's comments for the last item also pertain to this one. And so I thank him for his work on that. And in this case, I think we already know it's not a TTC route. And all those same questions that I asked before would apply. So thank you for holding it so we could have that information shared.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other speakers on this item? So we have the motion before us. All in favor? That carries. Our next item is SC 17. We did 2.3. SC 17.24 Cathedral Bluffs Drive and Rural Road always stop control in 20, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey.
Thank you, Councillor Ainsley. I just want to ensure city staff have no issues with the implementation of a stop sign here, that it's technically feasible and can be installed. Sometimes I know there's weird alignments of intersections and things like that, and we don't have that background, so I just want to make sure there's no issues.
Through the chair, yes, staff were aware of and prepared the recommendation wording, and there are no technical impediments to the installation of always stop control at the subject intersection.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, speakers? Sorry, Councillor Thompson. Sorry, I need you to come back to vote. Sorry, Councillor Thompson, we're just a bare quorum. We're just voting on SC 17.24 Cathedral Bluffs Drive and Rural Road. All in favor? Sorry?
Councillor Mantis is back.
I'll move adoption. Oh, and Councillor Mantis is back. We're now on SC 17.25 Village Green Square and Kennedy Road, traffic signal concerns in Ward 22, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey.
Thank you. Again, just would like to confirm if city staff have any issue with the proposed recommendations here. They all seem technically feasible and okay, but just want to confirm that.
Through the chair, yes, staff are aware of and assist in the recommendation wording, and there are no technical objections to the action from those recommendations.
So thank you. Typically, when we had motions like this where staff had prepared the recommendation and were supportive of the recommendation, we would insert that into the letter. Would you be amenable with that process resuming here so that we could all be aware of that in advance?
Through the chair, I would have no objections to that.
Okay, thank you. So that might be some good standard practice that we could adopt again. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Other questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor McKelvey, you held the item. Did you wish to speak to it? Nope. Okay. Other speakers on this item? I need somebody to move the recommendation.
I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Mantis, moving the recommendation. Okay, all in favor of the recommendations? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.26, Kingston Road and Audrey Avenue, left turn prohibition in Ward 20, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, questions of staff?
Thank you. And I see in this case, there is a petition from community, so community support is indicated. I'd just like to ensure that city staff have no technical objections to the recommendation before us.
Through the chair, that is correct. Staff have no technical objections to the recommendations.
Thank you.
Other questions of staff on this item? Speakers on this item? Deputy Mayor McKelvey, you're good? Councillor Cannibal, this is in your ward, your letter. Did you wish to move the recommendations?
Yeah, I wish to move the recommendations and thank staff for their support in the construction of this. Councillors may know this stretch of Kingston Road has become increasingly very busy the last couple of years, and more so given some of the staging for the developments on Kingston Road. And we have seen, unfortunately, some dangerous driving as a result, and we're hopeful this will mitigate those changes. Drivers can just take 30 seconds more, turn left at Warden where there's a signal light, and then be able to access Audrey through Warden. So we are in support of the residents and their request, and thanks staff once again.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cannibal. All in favor of the motion before us? That carries. Our next item is SC 17.27, Fairfax Crescent, parking amendment in Ward 20, held by Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Deputy Mayor.
Recommendations, just to see staff, they review them and if any objections.
Through the chair, yes, staff have reviewed and have no technical objections to the recommendations therein.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McKelvey. Councillor Cannibal, this is in your ward. Did you want to move the recommendations before us?
Yes, and just a few comments. Thanks, staff. I appreciate this was a very tricky item that involves a very limited space and being also respective of the school and the needs of the students and families. So thanks, staff, Dan, and team for helping. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cannibal. Any questions of the mover? Seeing none. Any other speakers on this item? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion before us? That carries. I believe that's our last item of business. Bills?
Councillor Chair Ainsley, just to go back
Yep.
to SC 17.
Yep, 17.18.
18.
Yep, sorry.
I thought about it again, and I would just like to move the original recommendation, which will also help with the Vision Zero work that is being conducted.
Okay, all right. So we're moving the recommendations before us on SC 17.18. Huntingwood Drive at Ridgecrest Avenue, pedestrian crossover. All in favor? And that carries. And I believe we have bills. That concludes the business of Scarborough Community Council today, except for the bills. Councillor Thompson, would you like to move the bills?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. That bills 1122 to 1129, prepared for the November 1st, 2024 meeting 17 of the Scarborough Community Council, be declared as bylaw and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
Thank you very much. Questions of the mover? Seeing none. All in favor? That carries. Deputy Mayor McKelvey, would you like to move the next one?
Thank you. That the confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Scarborough Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 17 on November 1st, 2024 be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act.
Thank you very much. Questions of the mover? Seeing none. All in favor? That carries. And I believe that concludes. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you to all of the staff for all of your continued amazing work. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good week, everyone. Weekend.